Poet and philosopher Henry David Thoreau said, "If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours." Let me give you some stats. So, Sharknado came out in 2013. If you know about Sharknado, or if you don't, typically, I'm pretty sure it's on the Sci-Fi Network. It's one of those sci-fi movies. And it came out in 2013. It was about killer sharks in tornadoes. And these people are running away from them. They're like killing sharks, and it's a tornado at the same time. So it's just a lot going on. The idea of sharks on land is just, who comes up with that? Where did it come from, I wonder? Sharknado was released in 2013. It had 6 sequels and 3 spin-offs. In 2013, the budget for the movie was $2 million. The budget in 2014 was $1.5 million. 2015 was $2.4 million. 2016 was $3 million. 2017 was $5 million. And 2018 was $3 million. These are the budgets for this movie. What are the times in your life where something is put on your heart, you get a message, and you think to yourself, there's no way I could do this. Are you crazy? That don't even sound real. No. And you respond that way. Rather than saying to yourself, I got this message for a reason. Now, how do I move forward? If you feel something inside of you that confirms maybe I should move forward with this, you probably should, even if it's something crazy like a Sharknado. Sometimes a dash of delusion is the sober seasoning we need to cook up a hopeful outlook. Strap in as we embrace the art of delusion in today's episode of To the Last Drop. So in the quote by Henry David Thoreau, what I liked about it is that it says, if one advances confidently in the directions of his dreams, a dream is given to you by the source. And what you call your source is up to you. It's given to you by the source. And a lot of times only you can see it. And it's almost as if in today's world, we wait for confirmation from other humans before we move in the direction of the dream. And really, you had the confirmation when you received the message. And that's the direction you need to be moving right now, especially if you can't stop thinking about it. Even if it's something outlandish. If you can't stop thinking about it, it's for you. And to be honest, that egging probably isn't going to stop until you move in that direction or someone else beats you to it. So in the quote, when it says advances confidently, the confidence is key. And a lot of us lack confidence. So advance and know that even if this doesn't work out, who's to say that your steps toward your Sharknado don't take a little detour that really gets you where you need to be at the end of the day? The goal is to move confidently in that direction. And then it ends with, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. So the moment you come up with your Sharknado is not going to be the moment that you experience success. It's when you're moving toward it. Oftentimes God meets us halfway, but you do have to move. You have to step out of the boat and onto the water to find out if you're going to sink or not. And going back to confidence, sometimes people will knock you off your rocker in regards to your pursuit of things. And that's sometimes because you don't have the confidence in yourself. You can seek counsel and still do what you said you were going to do. Sometimes you just want a sounding board to throw the idea at. But if that answer doesn't come back the way that you wanted, does that make you stop? You've been thinking about this for weeks. Your heart gets full. You begin to flutter and such inside. Do you think you should walk away from that because someone told you, oh, that'll never work? oh, that's silly. I don't see that. Sharks and tornadoes. Like, there's no way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And then there's the times where you consult with family and they tell you like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Go back to school, or you should be doing this, or being a post office person, you know, someone in the post is more secure. That's not a secure idea. And they try to project things onto you. Now, I understand sometimes it's with good intention. They want to save you from heartache, but we are put here to do the impossible. We are put here to do the impossible. His thoughts are not your thoughts. They're higher than that. And that's where delusion comes in. What your human mind can conceive is not a drop in the bucket to what God can do. We're talking water out of a rock here. Water out of a rock. Make it make sense, right? They even say that if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So you need to think bigger. He can do exceedingly abundantly above what you can ask or hope for. So even your biggest dream is not big enough. So go big or go home. Even Joyce Meyer has a quote that I love so much. She says that if you have 100 things on your list and you ask for none, you will receive none. If you have 100 things on your list and you ask for the 100, even on your worst day, you're going to get 3 or 4. So go big and ask. Something I've learned in the courses that I've been taking as well as rehab is the ability to ask for help. Oftentimes we don't ask for help because we don't feel as though we deserve it. And it's more subconscious. You wouldn't say that on the top, but get in a situation where you need to ask for help and you're going to find out if you truly believe you deserve it. I find in my life as an entrepreneur and someone with a very big dream that you are partaking in right now, that I won't ask for help. And so what does that mean? That means I'm my marketer, I'm my manager, I'm everything to me. And because I don't ask for help, I often find myself in a space of, when I get where I'm going, none of y'all are getting nothing. That's how it feels. You didn't help me, you know? Why should I repay what didn't work for me? And the fact of the matter is, who says that you can't get some help? You're not asking, so nobody knows. It's see a need. Well, no, it's ask that a need be filled, and then it will be filled. It's not see a need, fill a need when people don't know that you need because you got it all together because you're Miss Wonder Woman, Dominé. So take that moving forward. And a lot of times I would find when I was trying to do the writing, do the research, do the marketing, do the promoting, do the stand-up, that I would consume beverages because this drink is going to take the stress off. This drink is going to make me more creative for this part. I need to unwind now. Let me drink. And to be honest, today, a cup of tea or a cup of coffee does the exact same thing for me. Why? Because it has to get done anyway. I don't need a drink to be my crutch to getting the mission completed. Speaking of drinks, my new favorite buddy is this Celsius Peach Vibe. This flavor in particular. So Celsius is essential energy, which accelerates your metabolism and helps to burn body fat. I'd like to take it before my pole dancing classes a lot of times, or I need my energy to lift and get higher. It's a sparkling beverage. It contains 0% juice and it's only 10 calories. You can get it at a CVS, Walmart, anywhere that drinks are found in the energy drink aisle. Okay, I have really high confidence, y'all. Sometimes it's even mistaken for arrogance, but I really believe in myself. I have a dream that was put on my heart as a kid, and I've just always known I was supposed to be in a chair doing this. So for me, it just confirmed what I already knew, which is to just keep going forward. It's gonna look however you make it look. Sometimes you're not the first person to do it, but you're the first you to do it. This is your first time doing it. It's gonna look however it looks. And a lot of times it looks really good when it's done. Your goal is to advance confidently. Keep going. Write the vision, make it plain. Now we have focus. From that focus, you move forward in pursuing it. And it could be little things. It could be little things. Sometimes I think I'm not doing any work when I'll sit at home and I'll watch YouTube videos of, my new favorite is Candace Owens. I'll sit and listen to her speak, and I just love it. She makes me want to join a debate team. Like, there's a piece of me that looks like Candace Owens. There's a piece of me that looks like Wendy Williams. There's a piece of me that has Charlemagne the God, but I just haven't unlocked it yet because he's like a jerk. So I just haven't unlocked it yet, but I love him so much. And so a lot of times I'll watch their shows or listen to audibles, and it looks like I'm not doing anything. I'm sitting on the couch sipping tea, playing with my cats, things of that nature, and it doesn't look like I'm doing anything, but all the while, these little things are all working for my good, and they're helping me to advance confidently. If I take my time and watch something totally unassociated with it, so in this topic of sobriety, if I'm creative, it might help me to watch Love and Hip Hop, but on a typical day, it wouldn't help me. So if I just sat on my couch watching Love and Hip Hop every day, I'm not advancing confidently in it. I'm deflecting and doing something else. It's not helping me get where I need to go. The vision is, hey, you're going to promote sobriety or a more sober lifestyle for people. How is me watching Love and Hip Hop really going to do that? Now, hold on, I'm creative, so it does help a little bit if I like it, because they be on that show wasted. But that's an episode for another time. So typically delusional has a negative connotation. It's like someone who doesn't have their wits about them. They're kind of just doing wild things. It's outlandish. Almost like if you watch Beauty and the Beast, where all the people in the town can't relate to Belle. They're like, who is she? Like, her head is in a cloud. She's somewhere else. And this whole time her head is in a book. She's dreaming bigger. I want more than this. She wants more than this little town and people that are doing the same things. Even Gaston, in the town, he's the finest dude in the town. All the ladies want him. Everybody faints. And she's like, I'm so far beyond this that even your best is not enough for my best. That's the difference. Remember that just because you think you're at the top in your current space, it's not the top of the world. The world is huge. It's huge. There's so much to do. And that kind of explains my outfit. Let me tell you first, Dom is delusional. I am delusional. And when I get an idea, I move. The crazier it sounds, the more I'm going to do it. And I got some tattoos to prove it. Like, just random stuff. Like, why did you do that? So I do delusional things. This year, I took my mother to Egypt. We did 11 days in Egypt. We went to Cairo, Luxor, and Aswan. That's why I got this galabia. Shout out to my Egyptian family. Cousin, same color. That's what they say out there. And they say Obama. So, what happened was, again, with the Sharknado and having the vision, I just kept hearing, you need to go to the Nile River. And at the time, I'm like, what? You want me to go where? And I have a passport that I hadn't utilized since I went to Germany the year before. I'm like, the Nile River, you want me to go on the Nile River? Okay, whatever, like, okay. If that's what you want, you'll make it happen because my faith is that big. If that's what you want, you'll make it happen. So then I'm on YouTube watching Candace Owens, and up comes a commercial about river cruises. So I go on the website just for ish and giggles, and I type it in. I go on and I look at all the river cruises they have, and they're all through Italy, all through Europe in general, all that. And then it said Nile River Cruise, and I was like, okay, now I gotta go. So I set it up for my mom and I to go, and it was the most outlandish experience. Number one, it was beautiful. Everything was beautiful. The accommodations, everything was great. Shout out to Globus, Nicholas. Thank you very much. Everything was so outlandish, breathtaking, to say the least. And I will say also, fun fact, it's hotter in Texas than it is in Egypt, yo. I'm not lying. We saw every obelisk, every temple, every pyramid, every sarcophagus, every hieroglyphic that you could see. We touched them. Drake was all over the wall. The owl was all over the wall. Fun fact, the owl in the Egyptian alphabet hieroglyphics is C and M. Drake, YMCMB, Cash Money, Drake, the owl. So it was just so crazy to like put that together in my mind. But you have to see it to even think about these things. Now, when this thought initially came to me, it was delusional. It was that, why would you want to go there? Who's going to go with you? That's a million miles away. It's going to be so expensive. What do you mean? I ended up paying for me and my mom to go. So it wasn't as bad as you think. And I had the greatest time. So then I was like, okay, well, if I can do this delusional thing, then I can do more. I smoked hookah in Egypt. Like, that's so dope. Like, in Egypt, on the street with the people. I got, this dress is called the Galabia. I learned some of the language, and all the food was amazing. I had the best mangoes ever. They're called Alphonse mangoes, and I haven't found them anywhere in the States yet. I'm looking though. And we went all up and down the Nile. We even saw the Nubian village where the real melanated people are. So this is just an example of the latest thing that I've done to show my delusion. And faith. Faith and delusion go hand in hand. Faith and sight are the opposite. It's not faith if you use your eyes. If you're going by what you can see in this moment, you're not dreaming big enough. You need to go bigger. So that's an example of the most recent thing I've done to show my delusion. Now, the first time that I experienced the results of my delusion was in rehab. It was after detox. So I had to detox for 4 days. They kept me on detox for 4 days. After those days, you're allowed to go to all your classes and converse. And now you have the energy because they don't have you on things that are going to make you tired and make you go back to your room. And you get to go to your cabin. So they put me in my golf cart with all my stuff and drove me up to the cabin. When I got to the cabin, it looked like the only thing that I could compare it to is like a retreat in the Poconos. If you've ever been to the Poconos in PA, it was so grand. It was this huge house, a bunch of balconies, a whole bunch of rooms. And they took me up to my bed. I had a full-size bed, and I unpacked all of my things. And then as I'm sitting on the porch, and at the time I was smoking, I sat on the porch and I smoked, and the wind blew. And I was feeling very Pocahontas, and I could just like breathe. And I was like, do you really need the cigarette? Like, you can breathe deep, you know? And then it began to rain. So I really like the rain. I went into the house and I opened the balcony doors and I let the wind come through. And as the wind was coming through, I had my headphones in. And at this time, I think I was the only person in the cabin. But I found out later, I'm not sure if I was. So I had my headphones in and this song began to play. So the song was Moment for Life by Nicki Minaj. The verse is, I fly with the stars in the sky. I am no longer trying to survive. I believe that life is a prize, but to live doesn't mean you're alive. Don't worry about me and who I fire. I get what I desire. It's my empire. And yes, I call the shots. I am the umpire. I sprinkle holy water upon a vampire. In this very moment, I'm king. In this very moment, I slay Goliath with a sling. This very moment, I put it on everything, that I will retire with the ring, and I will retire with the crown. Yes, no, I'm not lucky, I'm blessed. Yes, clap for the heavyweight champ, me. But I couldn't do it all alone, we. Why this stood out to me was when she said, I believe that life is a prize, but to live doesn't mean you're alive. Like, for so long, I was living for the drink. We had a 7-year entanglement, me and alcohol, but it was those last two years where I stopped living. If the drink wasn't there, we weren't gonna have fun. It wasn't lit. I wasn't alive, and I like to compare it a lot to The Sims, to anybody who plays The Sims. Once you set up all the things for your character to do, you can kind of just let it do its own thing. So it'll go through the motions of what you set it up to do, but you're not there with it. You can go onto another sim and make it do other things or interact or whatever. So it was like I was living on autopilot. Like, okay, we're going to go to work. We're going to do the 8 hours, and then we're going to go home. We're going to drink. And we're going to feel better, because that's what you tell yourself. You're going to feel better. Then we're gonna cook food that we're probably not gonna eat, or we're gonna throw up later. Then we're gonna drink some more. Then we're gonna go out. We're gonna stay out all night. We're gonna text some people that we don't have no business texting. We're gonna do all of that. And then we're gonna go home, we're gonna go to sleep, we're gonna wake up, and we're gonna do it all over again. There was no joy in that. I thought that was the joy. I thought that I was living it up in my mind. I was living my best life, like Lil Duval said. But in reality, I was on autopilot and I wasn't present for any of it. A lot of it is a blur. Today, people will come to me and bring up conversations that we had or times that they saw me in certain places, and I have no recollection of it. I'm glad I could touch your heart in that moment. I have no recollection of it at all whatsoever. So then she says, in this very moment, I'm king. In this very moment, I slay Goliath with a sling. This very moment, I bring. So for me, it was like, wow, you're really here. At one point, that was delusional. Rehab, a nice rehab facility, that's delusional. Living without alcohol, that's delusional. Enjoying your rehab situation, that's delusional. Like, there's no way. And it had become real in that moment. In that moment, I was slaying my dragon. I was killing Goliath. I was doing the work. And really, the first step was just being willing to go, just willing to show up, willing to make the call. Sometimes just the call is really all you need to do. That first inquiry, really, all the rest of the work is done for you. Okay, so then later on in the verse, she says, ain't being cocky, we just vindicated. Best believe that what we done this moment will be syndicated. I don't know. This night just reminds me of everything they deprived me of. So then I looked into the word vindicated. And vindicated means to be cleared of blame or suspicion. It also means to show or proven to be right, reasonable, or justified. And then biblically, vindication means to be shown in the right. God promises to vindicate his people when they are victims of false and unfair accusations. And this blew my mind away because I have been vindicated. A lot of times we hold on to our addictions because it's comfortable, but also because of shame. Because it's kind of the same thing with asking for help. You don't believe that you deserve it. You think that the life that you've lived and the things that you've experienced, the things that you've done are too big to be cleared, are too big to be forgiven, are too terrible to live a different way. You know, whatever I am is what I have to be. It's who I will stay. No, that's not true. And whenever you're ready to turn away, all you gotta do is be a little bit delusional and you can be set free. And in that moment, you are forgiven when you ask. In that exact moment, you are forgiven. But you need to believe that in your heart, and you need to forgive yourself, because you be bringing things to God thinking he's holding on to it. And he's like, girl, I forgave you for that. You remember you asked me? And it's 3 months later and you're still tripping on it. He's not. Let it go and go pursue your delusions. This episode is dedicated to my dear friend, Lionel M. Macauley. It's been a few years, and it feels like forever that this person is no longer here. Lionel, I got it. Hold on, Eugene. Okay. Lionel was my dear friend and confidant. I dedicated this episode to him because he was the definition of delusional, and it was working for him all the way around the board. He called himself an entertainer of the arts. And he also told me to refer to myself that way. Why? Because we're multifaceted. There's way more than one thing you can do. He was a spoken word poet. He was an actor. He was a teacher. He did shows, he did plays overseas for months at a time. And he was so inspiring. And I often in life, I often referred to him as like my generation's Denzel Washington, because he had all the potential to be exactly that. And he was pursuing it. He was going places and seeing things, getting stamps on his passport that really you don't talk about in conversation. The places you're like, oh, where is that? Oh, it's in Europe. Okay. And he was there for 30, 40 days at a time, teaching the kids the arts. And he pursued his dreams passionately. I still listen to his spoken word album on Apple Music, and a lot of times it comes on when I need to hear my friend the most. He never got to see me clean, but I know that he's in heaven and he's happy with the life that I'm living now, because he was just waiting on me to be delusional. He was waiting on me to crack that potential. And he never said that alcohol was holding me back. I don't think anybody thought that. But I know, and clearly from my life today, I'm sure that's what it was that was holding me back. But he just always believed in me. He would show up to my shows randomly. It was oftentimes when people wouldn't show up to my shows, I'm like, man, like, am I getting blocked on the algorithm? But like, for whatever reason, I was always on his algorithm, and he would show up at those shows and just be supportive. It was nice to see his face, and he would always have a kind word to say. He would never belittle you for what you weren't doing. His goal was always to support you and to try to be that push toward reaching your end goal. And man, did he push me. He pushed me, and we had a great time together. So I dedicate this episode to him, and I think about him a lot. And again, when I need my friend, his legacy lives on, because his music will come up on my Apple Music whenever I really need a friend. And I'm like, thanks, Lionel, every time, and I just bawl my heart out. So, Lionel, thank you for the work that you've done in your life. Thank you for being a friend, and you were truly gone too soon. And in talking about my friend Lionel and giving him his flowers, regretfully a little bit later than I would like, I wanted to touch on these flowers here that I got for this season. They will be switching out because I love flowers so much. So, okay, in sobriety, you need to find new hobbies, and you need to find new ways to make yourself feel good. For some people, that's a massage. For some people, that's going to work out more. For some people, that's ice cream. And for a while, mine was ice cream, until I saw what it was doing to the gut, and I was like, we have to find a new outlet. So I began buying myself flowers on a bi-weekly basis. So every time I got paid, I would tithe, and then I would buy my flowers. And for ladies in particular, but gentlemen, I think you should do it too. I feel like we wait all of our lives for a guy who's gonna buy us flowers. Like, we wait. Oh no, I'm gonna go on a date. I hope he has flowers. And in the back of your mind, you really be hoping that. Like, I hope he shows up with flowers. And you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you are delusional about this belief that this man is going to bring you flowers, and then you're also going to enjoy him and all those other things. But just the flowers these days, that's a delusional thought, right? So I said, stop waiting on that man to buy you flowers. Buy your own. So I have a whole bunch of pink vases because they have to go with the aesthetic. And I buy myself flowers on a bi-weekly basis. I take the time, I cut the flowers, I try to set up little arrangements, and I put them in the bathroom, in my bedroom, in the kitchen, and it just makes life feel different. They are alive. There is life. And it just feels alive in there. And in my sobriety, I too am alive now. So it's nice to have my little living buddies. And sometimes I sing to them. Got a delusional story where a dose of hope spurred you on? Share your whimsical wisdom with your hashtag #DelusionalDroppers in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you care, as well as turn on your notification bell for updates on new episodes that are coming out. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.
Okay, now gather around so I can talk to the gods and goddesses of the congregation. When you see melanin shining, you can't tell who the goddess is. You see, we were all modest then. The devils wore Prada and maybe had an identity, but ibuprofen was your only amenity. So I declare royalty for all the sovereignties, to all the times we were quarantined and left alone with our own minds to feed. Now most are just watching fees with no mouths to feed. Time to find a way to generate fees and reverse being gentrified. I'll let all these words diversify, so you can see how much your soul is divine in its prime. Ain't no time to prioritize the primaries when life comes at you fast. And I know you don't want to finish last or dwell on the past, but history repeats itself. Don't cheat yourself, because putting out acid energy through your mouth will only eat itself. Never predict the predicate before you educate and advocate. No time to contemplate when we can compensate our minds and concentrate on our own mental states. We live in states where values determined by status, when they're clear hiatus, turning into statistic. Let's look at the logistics. See, we were niggas before niggas, supreme rulers. Mansa Musa, the first African king worth 400 billion. See, we can't forget Queen Nefertiti. When we see strength, beauty, and power, then you know a beautiful woman has come. Let that kingdom come, or that will be done. But when you CBS on your VHS, and less CNN if you don't CNN, to the TNT blown up all over USA, A, B, C. We decide on who we want to coincide with. We have to abide the sweet side while listening to Mary J. Blige so we can oblige. But what's your theory? We as a people need to stop with the theatrics and the antics and figure out how we can come together and take over the atlas. Becoming actress, activist, but we choose to drink activists and act as if anyone owes us anything. The only thing we owe ourselves is dignity, instead of digging through the internet system miserably. We have the ability to combat the bigotry, mentally, emotionally, and physically, so we can figure out how we can be bigger than me, bigger than us. Let's put trust in one another, in our brothers, sisters, and mothers. Let's encourage our fathers and father figures instead of trying to figure out what the next person's figures are about. When we forget clout, let's take the high